Warriors Fast Break on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk Warrior women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard. First, congratulations on 2 wins this weekend. St. Cloud State on Friday. We'll talk about that one first. I know that there's always something that you want to talk to the team about, even after a win. And you were coming off the best shooting performance of any Division II women's basketball team this season, the previous weekend. And then against St. Cloud State, struggled a little bit, but still got the win. What was the reason for struggling?
One reason is that we're human, right. And whenever you have the human element involved, there can be variables that come into play. But I would say, first of all, I would give St. Cloud credit for changing their defenses a lot, most of the first half. What they were doing is they went zone if we had to take ball out of bounds, and then they went man after a miss. And, we got off to a good start, but we had a few errant passes, cross-court passes that we actually threw over everybody's head and went in the stands. But we had trouble making good decisions from the high post area. And so whichever post player had the ball, high post area against their zone, we looked indecisive with what we wanted to do with it. We had a shot, but we were reluctant to take it for some reason. And then we ended up trying to, make high-low passes and force it into the low post, who was not open, had somebody on both sides of her. And so that usually ended up being a turnover. And then we had a couple people that had an off night shooting from the perimeter. So we didn't have balance, and we didn't attack the zone very well the first half, and find ourselves in a tight game going into the second half. The third quarter, we came out and we started doing a lot better job attacking the zone, and then they went man-to-man. Once we tied the game and got ahead, then they primarily played man-to-man defense. But it was a physical game. And when you have a physical game, shooting percentages are going to come down. Have a physical game that's not being called very, very tight. You're probably not going to shoot very many free throws. So we did shoot more free throws than they did, but we didn't shoot a very good percentage. So we had a poor shooting game from the free throw line and from the perimeter, and then we had some turnovers mixed in. So we never really put together a 5-minute stretch where we could just open the game up. I say that, but about halfway through the fourth quarter, it was still a tight game, and then we hit a couple threes and scored probably 3 or 4 possessions in a row. And then, it came at the right time. It gave us a cushion to work with going inside the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, and we finished the game well. You
were talking about some of the passes and some of them kind of being errant passes. I remember at the beginning of the season when you gave me some highlights from the California trip. The passing was kind of the highlight, being able to find that open shot. Yeah. But at times, can the team be too unselfish where they're trying to make extra passes?
No, you just got to keep the game simple. It's when you start thinking, when you get out there and you start thinking, you look like somebody that's just learning a new play, and you're not reacting, you're thinking, and that slows you down. And then you become hesitant and uncomfortable, and it shows from a confidence standpoint. So, players have to be really careful that they don't overanalyze things. Just keep things simple. I tell them all the time, just continue to make the simple plays, and things will work out well, and you'll feel comfortable and confident. But that's what teams try to do to each other. They try to make you do things that you don't like to do. They try to confuse you. They try to take away maybe your top 2 options offensively, and make other people try to be more aggressive offensively. But to me, the whole key is having balance. And sometimes players play mind games with themselves because they missed some shots or they had a couple turnovers. You just got to play the game. Just keep it simple and play the game.
Well, one of your top options this weekend was Connor Nagel, who continued to be hot
Yeah.
from the three-point line.
Well, that's 3 games in a row that she's been on fire from three-point land, and she's playing with a lot of confidence right now. I think she's hit 19 threes in the last 3 games, which that's a lot. But what our team needs to do a better job of is knowing where she's at. So, I was a little frustrated with some of our shots on Saturday. Some of our post people took some quick, long shots with 17 seconds on shot clock, and we still had Connor open on one side of the floor or the other. So, we don't mind our post people taking those shots late in the clock, but early in the clock, let's give our best, shooter from that range an opportunity, to get touches. We didn't play pretty basketball offensively this past weekend, which always concerns me a little bit because the 2 teams that we're playing this next weekend are very high-scoring teams, and so we need to be very efficient offensively, and hopefully that can take some pressure off our defense.
One other player I want to highlight is Kayla Timmerman, double-doubles in both games this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I think the key for Kayla is staying out of foul trouble. And I seen her this morning. I told her, I said, you played more minutes this past weekend than you have any time the 2 years that you've been here. And then my biggest concern is, okay, how's your foot feeling? But if she can stay on the floor for a while, that would be common for her to have a double-double. But she stayed out of foul trouble. Both games they let the teams play, so she was allowed to be aggressive, trying to block shots and rebound and whatnot. But she didn't have her normal shooting game on Saturday either. She shot a low percentage, but still had enough for a double-double. But getting the rebounds, her and Hannah have been doing a lot better job rebounding the ball the last 2 or 3 weekends. And as a matter of fact, I think our whole team has. But they've been a lot more active.
Yeah, and just quickly, Hannah McGlone didn't score a lot this weekend, but she was there getting rebounds.
Yeah, well, seen her this morning also, and I think she reluctantly stopped by my office. But she did not play well offensively compared to the weekend before, and she was one of those people that struggled, decision-making wise at the high post against the zone. But she still was a force to be reckoned with on the boards.
All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Fast Break. When we come back, we'll get the player perspective as we speak with Emily Worth. That's right after this. Warriors Fast Break on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Get an inside look at the Winona State basketball program with Warriors Fast Break on TV 25, brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Host Justin Barrientos sits down with the Warriors head coaches each week to break down last week's game and to look ahead at WSU's next opponent, as well as chat with Winona State players. Tune in at 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays, 6 p.m. on Fridays, 7 a.m. on Saturdays, and before every Warrior home game for Warriors Fast Break on HBC, brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Go beyond entertainment with HBC GigaWorld and get the broadband experience. Video chat without buffering. Stream your favorite shows and movies with TV to go. Dominate your online games and more with gigabit internet speeds. Watch over 300 video channels, including high definition, sports, HBO, Cinemax Stars Plus, Encore Showtime, and more. Call friends and family with reliable, crystal clear, unlimited local and domestic long distance phone service. Experience broadband the way it's meant to be with HBC GigaWorld. Visit hbci.com to get started today.
And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break, brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Time now to talk to one of the women's basketball players. Emily Worth joins us. Thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll kind of get a silly question out of the way first in this interview. As we tape, Warriors Got Talent will be held tonight, so good luck in that. Let's talk about the first season last year and kind of the dance or what was it that she did last year?
Well, we're fans of the Ellen DeGeneres show. I think she's hilarious. We all think she's funny. And she posted a video of some skit called Cats on the Internet. And so basically we just tried to copied the song and dance using Katie Zepsick and Connor Nagel, and we just created a dance in the background with our laptops, and we actually brought a real cat on stage.
Yes, they did.
Coach had the cat.
And I'd seen, after they started talking about this, I'd seen that episode online with the Degenerate, and I did not see anybody come out there with a cat.
No,
so
but
they improvised and added that, and I ended up with the cat. And
but we took second, so it
Yeah.
gave us some bonus points, I would say.
You had some competition with Chris Adams, who
Yeah.
ended up first. And
well,
then
that's
since
real
he-
talent.
He's amazing. Yeah, that's real talent. We think we have talent when it comes to singing and dancing, so
We're a bunch of wannabes.
yeah, we did what we could.
All right, so since we're already taping and it'll happen, but by the time this airs, what are you doing this year?
We are hitting the Quan. So we're doing a dance, and we're all wearing onesies, and there's a little bit of acrobatics in it, and Coach will have a part, and Coach Wirtz, so.
I am not doing the
No,
acrobatics.
he's pulling a Cam Newton, and he's dabbing.
Oh, very good. So no onesie then for you.
There is a limit to my, craziness.
He's a good sport, very good sport.
Very good.
It's for a good cause.
Yes, it
Exactly.
is. And the cause is, so that everybody knows?
We're raising money for the Mac Fund.
Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And again, that's going to be on Monday night. And I don't know, it might show up on the internet somewhere. I think Winona State records it, and
Yeah.
we'll have to see if that's on there. Speaking of the internet, when I look for questions for people, I always look on Twitter, and this is kind of like a question that I ask everybody that comes in here. Everybody on this team seems to be tweeting about how much they love this team and how much they get along with everybody else. Just how different is this team compared to any other team that you've played on in the past?
We just have really good chemistry, and I don't know if it's because we're similar in personality and similar in morals and just overall how we act, but I think everyone is so selfless and just wants everyone else to succeed. I know I've heard a lot of things about how this team has no ego, and we really just want the best for everyone. And I think it also helps when you're being successful and you're winning. It keeps everyone in a really good mood, but I just think it's been a blast because we genuinely want each other to do well.
All right, so your role on this team is basically come off the bench, Kayla Timmerman or Hannah McGlone get in foul trouble or need some rest, and you get out there on the floor. Talk about what it's like to go out in warm-ups and then have to sit on the bench and wait for your turn to go in on the floor.
And when in this situation, Coach always just says, you gotta be ready, because you never know if you're gonna play 20 seconds or 20 minutes, but as soon as your number is called, you just have to go out there and keep up with what the people who have been playing in front of you have been doing. And just, I figure if you work hard, you play good defense, and let your starters or whoever you're playing behind get their break. And as long as you maintain and play hard and play well, I think that's what needs to be done.
Are there certain situations that you look for to put Emily in the game?
Well, if Kayla Timmerman, as soon as she gets a foul in first quarter or second quarter, then Em knows that she's coming in. But what I think is really neat about the people coming off the bench for us is that they have to prepare every day for who they're going to be playing against, just like the starters do. But when it comes offensively, they don't know how many minutes they're going to be out there at a time, so they have to be patient offensively, knowing that you have to get in the flow of the game before you can feel comfortable and confident offensively. Every now and then you have somebody that is a spark offensively coming off the bench for a team, but that's not the norm. And with us having 4 starters that are averaging double figures, if Emily comes in the game, she knows that she's out there with at least three other people that average double figures. So you want them to get their touches and whatnot. So a lot of the people coming off the bench for us, they have to put their ego aside, and they have to just be ready to play and prepare just like everybody else. But it takes a unique person and attitude to be able to handle that and be good at it. And Emily's been in that position for a while, and so she's really good at it. But when we played at Crookston, she had one of the sweetest up and under post moves late in the game. The game wasn't on the line, but it was just a great move, and she finished, and it just everybody on the bench is just going nuts. So it's a lot of fun.
All right, last question for you then. Coach talked about trying to get in the flow of the game, and we kind of touched on that a little bit, but how difficult is it for you to get in the flow once you come off the bench?
I think, like Coach was saying, you just can't force anything. You kind of need to let the game come to you and just stay calm and know that this is the same game we've all been playing since we were 5, 6 years old. So you just got to let the game come to you and work with it.
All right, well, thank you for joining us today. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a break here on Warriors Fast Break. When we come back, we'll talk men's basketball with head coach Todd Eisner. That's right after this. Warriors Fast Break on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25. And welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. Time now to talk men's basketball. Head coach Todd Eisner is here, and congratulations, 5-game winning streak now for Winona State. Is the team playing right now how you hoped it would at the beginning of the season?
Well, I thought we had a great weekend and played at a really high level at both ends of the floor, both nights. And this is the time of the year to be playing well, and so I'm really pleased with where we're at, and we hope to obviously carry it on into this weekend against Mankato and St. Paul.
The 96 points that you scored against St. Cloud State on Friday was the most since 2011 for a Winona State basketball team. Talk about the contributions that you got in that game. What was it about that game and the matchup against St. Cloud State that allowed you to get that high point total?
Well, it's interesting how things changed because we scored 53, in the game before, and then came out and scored 96. But I just thought our guys had a really good approach on the offensive end of the floor and handled the way St. Cloud wanted to cover our ball screens and attacked. We got the ball inside. I thought we had multiple people step up and have really productive games for us. I think we had 4 people in double figures, and anytime you can get the ball shared and have a lot of people productive, it gives you a chance to score a lot of points.
60.3% was what you shot, or what the team shot in that game. At least for best shooting performance of the season. One of those players was Isaiah Gray. I think he had 20 points off the bench against St. Cloud State. Has he kind of recovered from his preseason injury?
Well, we think so. I thought he shot the ball as well as he'd shot it all year. He looked good. It looked good coming out of his hand, and he attacked the rim and made some plays. And so he had a very productive game, and we're seeing a more consistent production from Isaiah here in the last couple of weeks, and it's something that's really added to our ability to play at a high level.
Okay, and then Connor Flack, again, another great performance off the bench for him. You've been talking about the freshman all season long. Talk about his performance this week.
Well, I really liked the way he bounced back. He didn't score in the first half, and had the look of a freshman in terms of hanging his head a little bit when shots didn't go down, and had a really tough matchup in the first half, spending the majority of the time with Conrad in foul trouble guarding Scotty Stone. And I thought him knocking down his first shot of the second half really kind of lifted his spirits, and then they kind of rained in one after another, and he ended up with 3 threes in the second half and did a really nice job for us.
Talk about defensively for the Warriors, because coming into the game, you knew that there were 2 players for St. Cloud that were going to have big games, and they got their points, but you shut down everybody else.
Yeah, I thought we did a really nice job. Obviously, Scotty Stone got going in the first half and had 18 of their 44, and we talked about at halftime if they scored 44 again, we were probably going to be in trouble. And I thought our guys did a great job of adjusting in the second half and defending at a high level. And I think they shot 54% the first half and like 35% the second half or something like that. And so our defensive effort in the second half was really, really important. And I think the big key was Conrad was in the game. Conrad got 2 fouls to start the game and sat on the bench for I think the last 17 minutes. And then we had him out there, and Conrad does such a nice job of just fighting every possession defensively. And I thought that was a big key in holding Stone to 2 points in the second half.
All right, let's move on to the Minnesota-Duluth game on Saturday, and kind of an emotional moment. You got Josh Mongan in the game. I know that he was in uniform and participated in pregame on Friday, but you didn't put him in there. Was that by design to maybe get him kind of back in the field and only play him one game of the weekend?
Well, we're just trying to find a good time to get him some minutes. You know, Josh still hasn't gone through a full practice yet. He's practiced a couple of practices middle of last week, Wednesday and Thursday, and I think he was a little hesitant to see where he was in terms of throwing him out into a game-like situation. But you know, he's such a competitor and does such a great job of running the show for us when he is healthy that we felt like he was okay to get out and get his feet wet a little bit, and now we hope to proceed accordingly and hopefully get him back into playing some important minutes here as the season ends.
Our guest today is Riley Bamanick, and he had one of his best games this season, 17 points. Talk about his contribution.
Well, he's just been really solid all year for us. I mean, that's the thing that we expect out of Riley, is to be a consistent performer for us on really both ends of the floor. He's got such a great basketball IQ, and we've made the year a little more difficult with our injuries on Riley. You know, we've asked him to play the point guard position, which I think Riley's more than capable of doing, but I think he's probably more comfortable being off the ball and being a wing, and we've had to, with Josh going down, we've had to ask Riley to do a lot more than is maybe necessary, but it's necessary for us, and he's more than capable of doing that. He's got such a great mind for the game on both ends of the floor, and has been a productive player for us, really in his 3 years so far, and we're looking forward for him to have a really good end of the year and a great senior year coming up.
Talk a little bit about Minnesota Duluth as a team. This was kind of a minor upset for you guys. I know that I talked about during the broadcast, I was on the floor when Minnesota Duluth was finishing their practice before the women's game, and they brought the team together and they said, we got a lot to play for. We've got playoffs coming up and everything. They were in a mindset where they were going to come out strong, but they were never really in the game. It was a 21-point win for Winona State. What were some of the contributions to that to kind of take them completely out of the game?
Yeah, well, again, I just think our mentality on the defensive end of the floor is becoming more and more consistent. And I think I hope our guys are embracing the fact that if you can play on the defensive end of the floor at a high level and with a great level of toughness and togetherness, you can make the game really difficult for your opponents, and that always gives you a chance. And I thought we did a great job on Saturday night of making Duluth's possessions really difficult. And they had three scorers that night that were really productive, and two of them got their points, but I thought we made them earn their points, and then the other one we really shut down. And so when you combine that, like I told our guys, with the fact that we've been productive on offense both games this weekend, now you see the ability to separate in the points, whether it's a 10-point game, a 12-point game, or a 20-point game. When you're productive on both ends of the floor, it sometimes makes the game a little bit easier. One of the other stats that kind of jumps out at me is he had 22 assists, which was a season high. The great ball distribution. Yeah, it really is, and I mean that's a tribute to all of our guys. They're not looking to get theirs; they're looking to get ours, and they're making the extra pass. They're making a great read. I thought we adjusted to from one night to the next on how Duluth guarded us compared to St. Cloud, and really had good crisp ball movement and shared the basketball at a high level. All right, last question for this segment coming up: Minnesota State and Concordia St. Paul this weekend. How do you feel you match up between those two teams? Well, Minnesota State's very, very talented. We're going to have to play one of our better games of the year. Obviously I'm still getting used to it, but everyone tells me it's a big rivalry, and so but we're at very similar to what you mentioned Duluth to talk about. We have a lot to play for. We're one game behind them for second place in the South right now, and then there's two teams bunched right behind us in fourth and fifth place in our league. So these games are really, really important at the end of the year. We just want to continue to try to play better and better as the season goes on, and these will be big games. St. Paul is playing better and better as the year's going on, so we're going to have a tough handle this weekend, Friday and Saturday. All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Fast Break, and we'll get to the player interview coming up next. Riley Bamanick will join us right after this.
Integrate your business communications services with HBC. You'll be connected to the area's leader in internet and data solutions with speeds up to 1 gigabit, not to mention the most customizable and reliable telephone network in the area. Your customers and guests will enjoy crystal clear video and audio throughout your business. HBC Professional Solutions customers receive consulting and IT support, conferencing solutions, fast reliable cloud service, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference today.
Welcome back to Warriors Fast Break here on TV 25, brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Time now to talk to the players, and Riley Bamnick joins us. Thank you for joining us here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I want to ask you first about reaching the 1,000 point club at Winona State. Didn't get to do it at home, had to do it on the road, but does a milestone like that register with you right now?
I mean, I think it's a pretty cool accomplishment. I mean, but I couldn't have done it without my teammates throughout the years. But I mean, right now it's just focusing one game at a time. I know I got it against Bemidji, but we actually played really bad in that first half. But we kind of got the lead back, won that game, and then beat Crookston. And it's just taking it one game at a time because we can kind of just want to win as many games as we can. So I mean, it's maybe in a couple years I think it'll be more beneficial and be cool. But right now I just want to win as many games as possible.
Did you have any goals when you set out to play college basketball? I mean, was this one to get to that kind of level?
To be honest with you, I never thought I'd ever be at this point. I mean, kind of when I first came in at Winona, I just didn't even know if I was good enough to play here with all the great athletes and great players I had before. So to be here is an incredible accomplishment, and couldn't have done it without my teammates and coaches throughout the years.
Well, I know I saw an interview with you, I think it was after your redshirt season when you were first starting playing, and it might have been right after the big game you had against Minnesota State your freshman year. And it talked about how you were coming in to Winona State, a place where your father had been an assistant coach and still works at the university. Was there any kind of pressure that you felt knowing that your dad was around at the college?
I don't think so. I think actually it was more of a comfort level just because I trust my dad so much and he's coached throughout. So, I mean, it's always someone to actually ask questions and talk to more about the game and stuff. And then someone who's actually willing to rebound for me every once in a while. So that's always really nice. No, I felt like I was more comfortable too, just having him there and just having someone I can look up to and trust.
You know, one of the things I was talking to you, Coach, about when you were first coming in is that you had some of these players that you inherited. Was Riley one of the first ones that you tried to make contact with when you took the job?
Well, when you walk in 7 days before school starts, you try to make contact with all of them, And but I was very aware of the players that have been very productive for him, prior to me getting here, and we've certainly relied on Riley to be a leader for us and be a productive player for us on both ends of the floor, and he's certainly fulfilling all of my expectations right now, and then we're just going to continue to push him and the rest of the guys on the team to finish this year strong and have a great finish to his career.
I want to go backwards a little bit to your playing days in high school at GET. Yes. I saw that you had tweeted out a congratulations to Mark Wagner, who got 300 coaching wins. Talk about some of the things that you learned from him in your time in high school.
I mean, always something that I can take away from Coach Wagner is just his intensity and love for the game and how he would do anything to help us win, and he would always open the gym up if I wanted to get extra shots in. He would always push me, I mean, no matter what. I mean, he'd always be the first one to yell at me, but be the first one to congratulate me. And that's just something that's a big accomplishment for him, and I'm so happy that he's done that, and I hope he continues to do really well this year. They have a really good team, and hopefully they can do something that we didn't do.
I want to ask you about having to go through several different systems now that you've been at Winona State and then, of course, coming from high school. How difficult is it to kind of learn some different playbooks and learn from different assistant coaches, different head coaches?
I mean, it's always tough. I mean, it's just like my first year, we did a lot of stuff where we were coming off screens and stuff and like a lot of spacing. And then the last couple of years, we've kind of transitioned to ball screen stuff. So, I mean, it takes a little time. I feel like I'm getting really comfortable with what we're doing on offense. And I mean, our bigs have been playing really well, so that just makes it anytime easier when Kyle and Mark can come off ball screens and shoot the three. I mean, it gives you so many options as a guard when you're doing that.
Second half of the season, you've been playing really well. Talk about adapting to Coach Eisner's system.
I mean, that's just the thing. I think, I mean, as much as I'd love to say I've done ball screen stuff and I feel like I'm a pretty skilled player. I mean, it just takes time and reps, and the way defenses are kind of sophisticated now where they can ice side ball screens, hard show, flat show. It's everything like that that makes it really tough for me. So, I mean, just learning through that and then getting through that and adjusting and being a productive player.
All right, I told you that I'd have one question that might be a little strange, but I went on your Twitter account and I saw a couple of things that I wanted to ask you about. Your family has been a very competitive family, and
yes.
Apparently they like to point out when they beat you in fantasy football. At least your mom did.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
So, I mean, for my whole life, we've kind of had a fantasy football league. We've kind of done that, and our family is very competitive. I mean, a couple of years ago, I'd actually say 5-6 years ago, we had a family scavenger hunt where for the winner takes all, and it's bragging rights. My family is super competitive. I mean, it always has been. My dad and my brother, and I've always wanted to be better than my brother and then be as good as my dad. So then my mom always throws her 2 cents in about how she was a great tennis player back in high school. So
Warriors Fast Break on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill.